It began in Seattle, Washington when I was 16 years old. And I fell in love with the one person I was never supposed to love, my teacher. But before I tell you everything, listen carefully. If you truly want to improve your English, if you want to learn through real emotions, real conversations, and real life lessons, then stay with me until the end of this story, because this is not only about a teenage crush. It is about boundaries. It is about growth. And it is about the kind of love that teaches you who you are. Seattle was always raining. The sky was usually gray, and the air smelled like coffee and wet streets. I was 16, too young to understand the world, but old enough to believe I did. I studied at Roosevelt High School, a quiet building surrounded by tall trees. Most days felt normal. Math classes, science tests, lunch with friends. But everything changed the year Mr. Carter became my English teacher. He was in his early 30s, I think. Not flashy, not loud. He wore simple shirts and carried old books under his arm. His voice was calm, deep, steady, the kind of voice that made you want to listen. The first day he entered our classroom, he wrote a sentence on the board. Love is not about possession. It is about understanding. I remember staring at those words longer than anyone else. At 16, love to me meant excitement, drama, someone choosing you over everyone else. Understanding sounded boring, but he didn't make it boring. When he explained poetry, it felt alive. When he read stories, his voice changed with each character. He didn't just teach grammar. He taught emotions hidden inside sentences. And slowly, without noticing, I began waiting for his class more than anything else. One afternoon, we were discussing a novel about forbidden love. The class was laughing, making jokes about the characters, but something inside me felt serious. I raised my hand. Sometimes love doesn't follow rules, I said. Maybe rules are afraid of love. The room went quiet. He looked at me carefully. That's an interesting perspective, he replied. But rules often exist to protect people. I felt challenged, seen, understood. After class, I stayed back. Why do you think rules protect people? I asked. He leaned against his desk. Because feelings can be powerful, he said softly. And powerful things can hurt if we don't handle them carefully. I nodded, but I didn't fully understand. All I knew was that when he spoke to me directly, my heart beat faster. Weeks passed. I began staying after class more often, sometimes to ask about essays, sometimes to discuss books, sometimes with no real reason at all. He recommended novels for me to read. You have potential, he once told me. Your writing feels honest. No boy had ever made me feel the way those simple words did. I started dressing more carefully for school. I tied my hair differently. I chose softer colors. I wanted to look older, more mature. At night, I replayed our conversations in my mind. Was he smiling differently at me? Did he treat me differently from other students? Or was I imagining everything? One rainy Friday, the school closed early because of a storm warning. Many students left quickly, but I stayed behind, pretending to finish an assignment. The hallways became silent. Rain hit the windows hard. He noticed I was still there. You should head home, he said. My mom's working late, I answered. He hesitated. Okay, but wait in the library, not here. I don't know what made me say it, but I replied, I feel safer here. The words hung in the air between us. He looked uncomfortable. Safe doesn't mean appropriate, he said carefully. That word, appropriate, felt like a wall suddenly built between us. But I was 16. Walls made me want to climb higher. Over the next few weeks, my feelings grew stronger. I started writing poems about forbidden love, about secret emotions, about wanting something you cannot have. One day, he asked me to stay after class again. I read your latest essay, he said. I held my breath. It's beautifully written, he continued, but it feels personal. My cheeks turned red. Maybe it is, I whispered. He sighed quietly. You're very young. I'm not a child, I replied quickly. No, he agreed. You're not. And that's why this conversation matters. His tone was different that day. Serious. Protective. I care about your future, he said. And I have responsibilities. Responsibilities. That word sounded like rejection. That night I cried for hours. I felt embarrassed for feeling too much, angry for being misunderstood, hurt because he didn't feel the same, or maybe he did and he was hiding it. At 16, emotions are loud. They feel like storms inside your chest. I convinced myself that he was just afraid. Afraid of gossip. Afraid of rules. Afraid of love. And I decided I would show him that my feelings were real. I wrote him a letter. Not a childish one. Not dramatic. Honest. I told him how his classes changed me. How he made me love literature. How I felt seen when he listened to my thoughts. I didn't use the word love, but it was there between every line. The next day, I left the letter inside his book before class. All day my heart pounded. After school, he asked me to stay. He was holding the letter. His expression was calm but serious. You are talented, he began, and your feelings are genuine. My heart jumped. But I cannot accept this. The room felt smaller. It wouldn't be fair to you, he continued. Or to me. Tears filled my eyes. You don't feel anything? I asked quietly. He paused. Feelings are not the only thing that matter, he said carefully. That answer hurt more than a simple no. The next few weeks were difficult. He became more distant, professional, kind but careful. He stopped staying alone in the classroom when I was there. He kept doors open. He avoided long conversations. First, I felt rejected, but slowly, I began to notice something else. Respect. He never embarrassed me, never told anyone about the letter, never treated me like I was foolish. He treated me like someone who needed guidance. Graduation day arrived 2 years later. By then my feelings had changed. Not disappeared, but transformed. I understood more. I had dated boys my age. I had experienced small heartbreaks. I had grown. On the last day, he handed me a small notebook. For your future stories, he said. Inside the first page, he had written, real love does not hide. It does not risk someone's future. It waits until both hearts stand on equal ground. I finally understood. 16, I wasn't in love with him. I was in love with how he made me feel intelligent, heard, important. I mistook mentorship for romance, attention for destiny, guidance for passion. Years later, when I fell in love with someone truly right for me, everything felt different. There was no fear, no secrecy, no imbalance. We could walk together in sunlight, not shadows. And that's when the final lesson became clear. Sometimes the people who refuse you are protecting you. Sometimes boundaries are not rejection, they are respect. If you listened until now, you did more than practice English. You learned about emotional growth. 16, love feels like fire, but real love is warmth. It doesn't burn your future, builds it. And somewhere in Seattle, a teenage girl once believed she was in love with her teacher, but what she truly learned was how to recognize the difference between desire and destiny. If you want to keep improving your English through powerful emotional stories like this, keep listening until the end every time. Because every story teaches two things: language and life.